we have Transient CEO Beau here with us. So welcome, Beau.
Thank you very much. Really excited to be here for the first weekly wrap-up.
So we're going to be answering the community's questions and covering some topics of what's been happening in Transient. And the first thing is the token utility tiering system and tokenomics. If you could just start on that.
Maybe before we jump into that, thought I'd just recap a little bit just on the week that we've had. I think it's just been a little bit over 10 days, 12 days since we've listed and obviously gone live, and it's been a hell of a ride so far. Firstly, thank you to the community for the support, particularly early, and we've seen the fruits of our labour sort of progress over the last week or so. It's been really, really great to see. Into the tiers, for us, it was really trying to identify a way that we can give back to community, as well as really provide a solid foundation for utility across the Transient network. So for those that have obviously had some experience around what we're building and seeing the test nets in action, but also the designs and the suite of dApps that we're building, there's a real clear focus around utility across the network as a whole. Whether you're utilising the dApps from a day-to-day perspective or holding TSCT from an investment standpoint. We found it really, really appealing for us to provide a ability for users that aren't interacting with us every day to get some rewards from that. And that's where the contribution or the distribution of our rewards pool. So effectively 75% of each of our transaction fees across the network will be fed back into the community. The remaining 25% will go back into the team and company to then look at other options to further increase the value of the token. So whether that's buyback, whether that's utilising for capacity increases from a resourcing perspective, increasing velocity, the options are obviously endless around how we can utilise that revenue stream. But first and foremost, it's back into the community, the ones that have put us here in the first place. We're really excited as well. I think it was within the article to actually reward those guys that stuck with us from the very start. So anyone that picked up the IDO and have continued to actually allow us to get to where we are today, we'll get an advanced tier. So whether it's G-Pool or through Lemonade, if you're still holding, we will be rewarding you guys with advanced tier. So you'll get some communication directly around that. But you obviously be quite happy for those that have obviously held from a price perspective, but also now the ability to gain that advanced tier status. Hopefully that wraps up our tiers there, Amira.
Yeah. And just a question the community have been asking is, when does this start? Like, when does this reward start, or does it already start?
Yeah, so we will reward those from an IDO perspective immediately in terms of status. However, we'll be looking at pretty much 60 days from Mainnet will be the point in time that we'll do our first scan of wallets and start to look at distribution of rewards pools. So that's just to give everyone, from an equity perspective, the ability to gain the tiers and also bear fruits from a utility perspective as well as just from a holding perspective.
And the 31st is Mainnet. So can you share more about that and the coming dApps?
Yeah, so really exciting. So as I said, we're just a little bit shy of 2 weeks since the launch of listing, and we've got our dApp actually being prepared for deployment literally as we speak. The guys have just jumped off a call a couple of hours ago and getting the scripts for the deployments ready, infrastructure ticked off and final regression occurring. So that's on track for the 31st. So we'll be doing a dark deployment of TSC-Core, which is our entry or foundation level smart contract management system, effectively allowing anybody, anywhere, anytime to create a smart contract of your choice for a number of use cases. So that will be going live on Sunday. We will then be releasing to the public the obviously production URLs and accessibility, most likely sort of 12 hours after that, to ensure that we've completed our production verification testing, we're happy with the results, and there's nothing that we would stop from a publicly facing rollout. So we will be going live with Ethereum as we expect or expected. HECO-Chain. And yeah, there might be a little bit of a surprise in there as well around another chain as well. So we're putting the final touches on that, and as we do finalise the actual deployment scripts, we'll communicate with the community and the broader teams around exactly what that mainnet launch will look like. But it's looking positive that we'll be delivering more than we expected to deliver on Sunday UTC. So really, really proud of the team and the hustle they've given thus far to get us to this stage. And now it's just putting those final touches on, to ensure that there's a smooth and seamless interaction with Mainnet, and obviously all the interaction points below that.
What is your thoughts on the growth of holders so far and the price action? And just, speaking of the IDOs that were done, they were oversubscribed. Just can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, as I said, like from the start, even when we started talking really early with our seed investors who have been absolutely instrumental to where we've been today, these guys, as well as our private, all the way through to our IDO, have seen real value in the utility of Transient as dApp network, but also from a values and principle based approach. We are hitting real world problems. We are talking to real world partners. This isn't some sort of 5 to 7 year plan of changing the way that we interact in not just the crypto world, but in the business world. This is happening now. In terms of the support, not that it was unexpected, because I think we're in the position that we would have expected to be, albeit after a clunky IDO night. And I think we've spoken at length around that previously. And I think each community has taken some learnings around how we do that better. And I know for a fact that Gpool has obviously had a couple of IDOs since then, and the learnings taken from that has given the Gpool community particularly a really seamless experience. So I think as long as we continue to learn and ensure that we're not making the same mistakes over and over, I think that's a good win for all communities. Price action, I probably won't get too much into, because it would do my head in, to tell you the truth. However, what I am really keen on is the value that we bring to the community in terms of our visions, the way that we're going about our business. So I think, I do look at the chats a bit, but, in terms of marketing and the strategy that we're looking to execute, we're quite articulated, very measured in the way that we're approaching things. So generally, if there is a little bit of silence, or if there is a little bit of non-activity or lack of activity, there's generally a reason for that. And I think we've shown with altcoin and the other marketing activations we've had over the last 7 or 8 days that when we want to release something, we release it hard. When we want to make an impact, we make an impact when we need to. And that's no different from what our experience has been from an IDO to now. But as I said at the very start, these are the lifeblood of the community that gives us the grassroots for us to build upon. And as I said in the previous question, they'll be rewarded for their loyalty and patience within the tiers as well. So price is great. That's all good for everyone. But my role is to get Mainnet for the TSC-Core out this weekend, and then CryptoPool hopefully within the 4 weeks after. So we're in final audit stages of CryptoPool as well, which opens up a completely new demographic of bettors and also crypto users. So you'll be able to predict price, you'll be able to create your own pools, and obviously share in the rewards of that as TSCT holders. So my role is to get our products out there in the best possible fashion, the most secure and with the most velocity as frequently as possible. And that will ensure that the price continues to, do what it needs to do in terms of whether that's positive 1x or 100x, whatever that might be. And if it's for Bob, one of our great members of our community, hopefully that 10,000x that he's after as well. So I just wanted to thank Bob for his contribution as well to the team.
Yeah, definitely. And Transient from the beginning has been focusing on real use case and solving real world problems. So can you share more about why you started Transient and the problems that you're solving?
Yeah, so from a very early point in conception, it was really around how do we bring the blockchain more generally to users in the mainstream in the real world. So obviously it's been pretty well documented, my history within the betting industry, insurance and banking and finance. And what we've seen in there is that there was the same processes and the same repeatable measures taken too much of the time, and it had to be a better way. And in terms of the way that smart contracts operate today, function and the functionality that they were providing was exactly what that sort of community requires. However, there was too many barriers to entry for users to actually pick up and run with. So for us, it's around really, really simple UI and making Transient, whether it's a TSC-Core where crypto users are utilizing it to facilitate transfers and deposits for anything under the sun, to the NDA app that will be completing to facilitate non-disclosure agreements, to CryptoPool or eSports. What we want to do is make an impact to the community and the industry that will be using that. And with our UI and the ability to actually create smart contracts with no coding experience at all is clear differentiator, and something that we'll obviously tip our hat to allow people who would never think they'd be using the blockchain a really, really simple access point. And that was the vision from the start. It probably started a little bit smaller than this, to say the truth, and it was quite direct. However, the opportunities to impact a number of industries and from a real use case perspective was paramount. And that's why we've gone on the trajectory that we have, with spanning across multiple industries. So the impact will be far and wide, and great.
Yeah, sounds good. And in terms of the roadmap and timeline of what to expect, can you tell us more on that?
Yeah, so I think 2 and a bit days or 1.5, depending on what time zone you're in. So TSC-Core will be live. By the end of November, you'll have CryptoPool, and in Q1 2022, you'll be looking at both NDA and eSports. So eSports is the one that we're really, really keen, and not saying that TSC-Core and CryptoPool is not, because they're going to be instrumental in our development as a project and as a team, given there was a really strong direction from the start from the team to inspect and adapt. And if anyone caught the Altcoin Daily video, I spoke a little bit about that in that as well. But we want to ensure that whilst we're developing as a team and we're building our value proposition, that the community is able to give us feedback as we're going. The team's able to look at that feedback and incrementally add that into their next deployment. So, as we get to eSports, we would have released 2 dApps. We would have been able to actually start creating real value use cases and real value in terms of revenue as well. So by that point, by the Q1 and Q1 2022, we'll be hoping to have our eSports and NDA apps. So that's a lot of action, to tell you the truth. But given, as I said, our seed investors and their belief early in the project, that's allowed us to get as far as we have so early in our development. And that's obviously a differentiator within itself.
Yeah, sounds good. And just moving on to the second part of this segment is opening it up to the questions the community asked. And the first one is from Marco. So the question is, what's the angle you guys are planning to use for marketing the CryptoPool dApp? Is there going to be a push for betting gambling markets, or maybe a PTE enthusiast, or something else entirely? Yeah,
it's a really good question. So Zani, I'm not sure, I think he's on the line. Yes, he set up the call. He's super active in this space with our influencers and our marketing activations at the moment. So there'll be a combination of influencer outreach, in terms of you might see some competitions happening between influencers. I think anyone that's been in the crypto game for at least 5 minutes knows that, and if everyone you talk to has a price prediction that they have on pretty much any token, as long as there's a couple of syllables in there. And that's what we want to drive. So we want to be able to organically grow from a crypto perspective, with the proposition of those outsiders that think that, from a betting perspective, it may provide a piece of entertainment for them. But the first and I suppose the foundation approach will be for those that are talking about price already, and there's a lot of that. So you'll see some integrations between us and some influencers, as well as there'll be some fun stuff along the way as well to ensure that the value of that entertainment factor doesn't sort of go out the window, and ensuring that there's some value proposition for those that are creating competitions as well is really important. A key point of the transient tier system is that it's community driven. So if you're, thinking of a traditional sports bookmaker where they'll set a price and they'll, take a large portion of commission or profit, everything you see on Transient will be community driven. So you're in charge of creating the pools, you're in charge of creating the competitions, you're in charge of the rewards, and that's in your hands. And it'll be very similar to eSports. So the marketing will be firstly crypto and those that are really talking about price, and then we'll start to leverage the sports betting and the markets in terms of a little bit of a broader demographic.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is that this is going to be easy even for non-crypto or non-tech people. And you built it that way. Truthfully,
you wouldn't even know it's on blockchain. So from if you were to use it and you were using your wallet address as opposed to a username, that's probably the main difference. The experience and we've sure that the pattern we have across our whole network is that it's familiar with CRMs, that you're going to have a plug and play approach in terms of the way that you're developing your smart contract. I'm pretty sure that the three that we've started developments and or completed development on, I think the longest form or the number of steps is 4 steps. So that might be 3 or 4 input fields over 4 pages in terms of 4 steps to create a smart contract. If you're thinking about the time and effort you'd be putting into creating a Solidity smart contract, deploying, having the dev tools and being able to deploy it to the chain of choice, I think I know which one I'm going to be taking pretty quickly.
So we have more questions from the community. The second question is coming from Pharrell. And he's asking, how's the development for other chains going? HECO-Chain and BSC seem to be the next ones coming on white paper and Medium. Is there a date for that? And they're just asking about that.
Yeah, so firstly, HECO will definitely be there in Mainnet. So that'll be there from day one. BSC, I couldn't see it being too far behind that, to tell you the truth. Whether that's Monday, whether that's maybe Wednesday, I'm not too, I am sure, but we need to tick some boxes first. So I probably won't say too much on that, but it will be very quick. And what that gives us, and as I said, I do troll through a little bit more. I think Zanny banned me from the chat to actually reply. So apologies for that, guys. But we have the ability to utilize the incubator systems and grants and innovation hubs of these really big enterprises and exchanges. So, when we're talking about HECO-Chain and the connection with Huobi or Huobi, that's a clear strategic directive in terms of where we want to be in the conversation with. The same as BSC. So there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes around how do we leverage our EVM compatibility for the chains that we can deploy to as an entry point into the conversation, and which these conversations are already ongoing, obviously, but utilizing those as entry points for an easier conversation when we're talking around exchange listing. So for us, there's a double benefit of opening up the community from a chain perspective, but also from the ability to increase the awareness across exchanges, and not just exchanges, but social amplification of projects. So, if we talk about MVB on BSC and other incubator type programs, the strategy behind our first chains is exactly aligned to that. So it's not, we didn't pull off thin air just because they're EVM compatible. there was a strategic direction around why we'd be trying to execute our experiences on those chains. And we will be also offering from a swap and token perspective as well. We're finalising our structure in terms of how we'll move into those listings across, PancakeSwap and these types. So that's happening. I know, obviously, particularly as ETH is going nuts from a gas fee perspective, we need alternatives, and the team are hard at work around how we can make that happen. So there's a few things at play with why we've chosen those chains to kick off with.
Yeah, definitely. And for the community who've been asking questions and checking out the polls, we're reading everything and we're working behind the scenes to get things done.
100%. Yeah, the team doesn't stop. It's all happening. We continue to have conversations and push as hard as we can, because we know where we need to get to, and each step that we take is a step in the direction of where we're heading or needing to head. So that is definitely happening.
Yeah, definitely. And the last question that we have is James Crypto Boy asking, or he's making a suggestion to integrate other chains like BSC and other layer 2s. There's no such project in BSC. IMO, just bridge it to BSC and let people trade.
Yeah, 100% just aligned with the previous answer, but any opportunity for us to amplify our existence in our ecosystem is one that we'll take. From a cost perspective, you're not going to see stuff that's sort of thrown out the window and by chance. There'll be investment made where we need to make it, and it will be for the betterment of the project and the community. So for us, it's making those right calls at the right time, not making all the calls all the time. And that will continue, whether it's chains, developments, innovation, technology, whatever the case might be. It'll be the same principle that will apply.
Yeah, sounds good. And just as we wrap up, so this is a really short call, and this is meant to be just a short segment that happens every Friday. And for the community who's wanting to participate, just use the Ask Beau hashtag, and we're going to be just selecting questions and bringing them up. Yeah, and just the last thing is we have an advanced tier promo happening. So we're going to be choosing some winners, and they're going to get upgraded into the advanced tier. If Zani, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, awesome segment, guys. Amira and Beau, you guys rocked it. The promo is ongoing now. We have 3 tweets. Actually, one went out yesterday. One is coming out today, a couple of hours from now, and the next one tomorrow. So you'll be able to participate this in our official Twitter. You just need to retweet, follow us there, and be a part of our Telegram community. And there will be 3 luck draws going on, one for each tweet. And all the winners will be disclosures on the 31st. And as Amira said, you'll be, earning the advanced tier, which is, the highest thing that you could have inside the Transient network application. So pretty excited for that, and pretty excited for Mainnet. And looking forward to the next Beau segments, just because I believe the community loves it. And guys, just keep building, because you're just starting.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. I think that, 100%. And just on the point of listening, I'm not sure who mentioned it, but I think there was a question around sports betting. So I might just quickly touch on that before we wrap up. So anyone that has any, or a very basic level understanding of technology and APIs, and even, oracles and on-chain, off-chain data, the way that we've built our dApps and particularly eSports is that they should be the foundation for if we're wanting to build upon those particular dApps themselves. So if we think about the structure of eSports data, we're looking at competitions, we're looking at matches, and we're looking at outcomes. What that means, if you build it in a consistent fashion, is that it's very easy to enhance your product. I'm not making any calls around what might be sort of early next year, but the ability for us to expand very quickly into a traditional sports scenario is there. So I suppose that did come up, so I thought I'd address it. The plans aren't concrete at the moment, but we're building the eSports dApp with the capability that we can effectively expand to anything we want. And that'll be through our data partners and providers that we're working with at the moment, but also through our partnerships across our influencer marketing and our ecosystem that we're building out in terms of amplification of our brand. So yeah, I thought I'd leave with that, because I think given my background, and I know there's plenty of chat around my tenure thus far, particularly in the betting space, with the Flutter Group for 10 years. It's obviously a hot topic. So no concrete decisions made at the moment. We've left ourselves open to explore the possibilities if we want to venture there. But yeah, I thought I'd just cap it off with that. But also, yeah, thank you to everyone that's communicated and continued to ask questions. I think, given I've already spoken for half an hour without taking a breath pretty much, I'm more than happy to do a little bit more time if the community thinks that'll be valuable. But there's probably also too much of me that you will want to shut off and not listen to. So, but yeah, listen, give us your feedback, continue to ask questions, and I'll make myself available whenever we need to.
Yeah, the community is definitely curious about you and the team and just what Transient is doing. So thank you so much for this segment, Beau, and thank you so much for your time. And thank you to the community for joining this call.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Everyone stay safe and well. And yeah, have a great day or night wherever you are.